Hey, what's up guys, it's Alex here. Welcome back to my series of tutorials where we create an iOS to-do list app using SwiftUI combined, using MVVM and leveraging the power of protocols. For those who are new, I'll leave a link below to the initial project so you can just download it, open in your Xcode and use it and start from here. But I strongly recommend you check out the first part of my series. As I mentioned before, in this tutorial we use the power of SwiftUI and Combine frameworks that were introduced in WWDC 2019 by Apple, and yeah, these two frameworks changed our way to create iOS apps, and now it's way faster and more convenient. And in this tutorial we'll be creating testable and readable code. Some things here are not important that much for this project, but we are working as with the real project, so we'll create app as we supposed to in real life. We separate the layers, we use dependency injection, we use protocols, and basically create kind of real app. So to quickly recap, now we have a task list view, view model for this view, and we created TL task model and data manager. Yeah, so let's press resume button on the canvas. If you don't see canvas, you just can tap this button in the top right corner and click this field, or simply use command option return. So yeah, this list of our tasks. So the first thing to do here is to make possible for users to create new tasks in our app. So we need a new view where a user will choose a new title for their task. We'll create it. So first of all, let's create a task list view model. So go to the project navigator, click on any file and press Command N. And choose Swift file. Let's call it new task view model. Let's import Combine here, we'll need it later. And first thing to do is to create a protocol for this new task view model. And for now, I think the only method we'll use here is to create a new task. Add new task, and we pass title as a string parameter for our method. By the way, if you noticed, in task list view model, we create a protocol and we conform our task list view model to this protocol, but in task list view we don't pass it as a type here. So in many other places we would just pass it here, but we can't do that for state objects because state objects should be classes or structures. So yeah, so in this case, this creating of this protocol kinda useless thing, but for us and for this tutorial, it's totally fine because we are doing this exercise and we just getting used to creating protocols because they are so useful in many other cases. For instance, when we created our data manager, we created a protocol, and whenever we use this data manager, we pass it as a data manager protocol type. So for instance, in this case, when we need to pass a mock data manager that conforms to data manager protocol 2, we just pass it here, and it helps us with the previews and also helps us with the unit tests in our app in the future. We don't cover tests in this tutorial, but it's an important thing to cover all your code with tests, and without protocols it is kind of hard to do. So let's get back to our new task view model. Let's implement it. Let's create a class new task view model that will be observable object. By the way, try to use final word whenever possible. You're unlikely to subclass your view model, so it's totally fine to use final word here. And the point is that when you build and when you use your app, it works faster because whenever iOS uses this type new task view model, it won't try to find subclasses for it. It will know that this is the type it needs to use. And while in this app it changes nothing or very little, for more complicated tasks it is important to use any opportunity to make your app faster. Okay, so we need to have a data manager here of data manager protocol. I will pass it here in our init method for dependency injection. And we use our singleton here, and many people don't like singletons and all, but I think it's just a tool, and sometimes it's very convenient to use singletons. In this case, it doesn't make our app less testable or worse in any way. So let's create a class extension here to conform our class to protocol, and we need to implement our new method here. And also let's add a comment with mark here. The reason we're doing that is because in this case we can see this mark here, so it is easier to navigate in our files. And now it's not a big deal, but if your app grows, this thing becomes really helpful. Yeah. So here we just need to create a new task. Passing title here. And since we have default values for ID and is completed, we just can get rid of it here and of this parameter here. And now we pass it into data manager as a task. But I think creating task is more of data manager responsibility, and here our ViewModel takes another responsibility to create TL task. So let's actually move it into our data manager. To do this, we need to update our protocol. Yeah, that looks better. Now let's copy this and paste into our mock data manager that looks almost the same. Now let's go back to our ViewModel. In this case, we don't need this thing here, and we just can get rid of this method and use the new one. Nice. Okay, it's time to create our view. Right click here, new file or command N, and choose SwiftUI view. Call it new task view and press create. Okay, let's press resume here. Nice. Okay, so first thing here, we need to add our view model. Let's fix our preview. So let's create a static variable ViewModel. And just return our ViewModel with mock data manager and pass it here. Nice. Let's press resume again. And nothing changes, of course. Yeah, here we need a text field view and a couple buttons. So let's create a vertical stack and a text field here. So we can just type text field here and choose text field in our menu. Another way is to press this plus button in the top right corner. That opens our library. You can find a text field here and just move it here. As a placeholder, we'll add like task name, and SwiftUI tries to localize all these strings. So that is convenient, you don't need to pass an S-localized string here instead of just simply string. As a value, we need to pass a binding variable, binding string. So we create a new state variable here. That is just an empty string. And we pass it here with $sign. $sign makes it binding, meaning that whenever you change anything in text field, it updates this variable, and that's convenient. Now we need to add a couple buttons. Let's create a horizontal stack for them. Let's create 2 buttons. Yeah, this one will be cancel. Let's copy paste it here and call it add. Also, you can hold Command and click on label and choose convert to train closure. That makes it a little bit nicer. Let's do the same here. Nice. Let's press resume. And now we see that everything is in the middle. So to bring our buttons to the bottom, we add spacer here. Spacer tries to take all the place between views as much as it can. But if we want to put our text field in the middle, we need to add another spacer here. Now it looks better. Let's make it a little bit nicer. Let's add a padding here. So we have padding around. Also, I think maybe we should make our buttons a little bit nicer. For instance, let's add a shadow here. Let it be black, 10, X and X. Well, it looks nice. What if we add the background here as a white color? Yeah, looks better. Let's also add a corner radius, for instance 8, maybe couple paddings, vertical one of maybe 8 and horizontal one, maybe 16. As we can see, our corners aren't rounded, so I probably just need to move it here after background. Yeah, now it looks better. When we add the padding modifier, we create a new view with these paddings, and we add horizontal, we basically create this view, and after that we apply background color to it, and after that we add corner radius to it, and finally we create a shadow. It looks nice. Let's make it smaller. Yeah, also we can add spacing here, so we can add some distance between two buttons. And for now, let's just copy this, all these modifiers. Yeah, in this case I would create a new button with all these modifiers because it's a good idea to reuse modifiers, but in this case it's totally fine because it's tutorial. But yeah, try to get rid of repetitive code. So, and also to make them of the same width, we can add frame modifier with minimal width of 0 and max width of infinity. In this case, you will try to stretch as much as possible. Yeah, let's get rid of this guy here. And yeah, I think we just need to basically move it somewhere here. Yeah. We don't need this padding because it stretches, or even if we have it here, it's still totally fine. And if you add this modifier here, now these buttons are equal because both of them try to take maximum width. It looks better. Nice. Maybe let's make our text field a little bit more. Maybe with just vertical paddings. Yeah, it looks better. Awesome. Now we need to add actions to our buttons. To hide this button, we can go two ways. First of all, we can create a new variable here that will be binding variable, and we'll pass it from here, and it will be a Boolean flag. And on cancel, we'll just make it false. Another way is to use environmental variable. In this case, we need environmental variable presentation mode. If you are unsure, you see there is no auto-completion here. So you just can simply write environment, private or not private variable, for instance, presentation mode. After that, just add parentheses here and try to find it. Yeah, by some reason it works this way. And you don't even need to set the type of this variable because it's inherited automatically. It's binding presentation mode. So now, for cancel button, it's very simple. You just use presentation mode, wrap the value, dismiss. As you see, it dismisses the view if it is currently presented. Nice. And for another button, you need to check if title isn't empty and just create a new task. After that, probably you want to hide this view. So we do the same. So this is a common way to dismiss model views. You just need to remember it. Okay, now we need to open this view. Let's go back to our main view, task list view. And here we create a new state variable is showing at new, that is false by default. Let's press resume here, and firstly let's create a private variable add new button, which will be some view. We basically put our button here. Here we use system image plus. Let's add this button to our navigation bar. To do that, we need to choose modifier navigation bar items. For now, we use only trailing items, and we pass add new button here. That's it. Press resume, and now you see plus button. Nice. By the way, if you want to understand which system images are available, you can download SF Symbol app from the Apple website. You can just Google it. And this app, you can just look for all the icons. You can either surf it here, or you can just look for some of them. And our plus is right here. Okay, so the action of this button is just making is shown add new true. So now we can click live preview to check how it works without building and running it on a real device or simulator. So let's try it out. Make it a little bit smaller so we can see everything, and let's press plus here. Nothing happens. I'm changing this variable, but I didn't let the view know what to do on it, so we need to add a new modifier. Sheet is presented, and here we pass our is shown add new as a binding boolean. On dismiss, we will ask our ViewModel to fetch tasks again, and as a content we'll have something like our new task view, and that's it. So we can make it a little bit nicer here. Yeah. Okay, now let's try live preview here. We press the plus button and we see our view. Nice. Now let's try build and run it on a simulator. Nice. We don't have any tasks here. We tap plus, we see this view. We can just dismiss it here. We can press plus again, we can tap cancel, plus it again, and if we tap here, we see our keyboard. And by the way, in iOS 14, since SwiftUI 2, now we don't need to even adjust our view when the keyboard appears. It changes automatically. It's very convenient. So let's add something. Go. For a joke. And press add. And now we see this task appears in our list of tasks. Awesome, right? If we add another one, like go parents. It appears here. And we had another one, check email. You'll see it here too. Nice. The only problem is if we build our app and run again, nothing is stored here. Of course, because we don't have persistence here yet. But it is fine, we'll add core data layer later. Okay, so I think it's enough for today. I don't want to make these parts way too long, so we'll end here. So in the next part, before adding core data, we'll add some small things, such as we'll create rows for our list instead of using just text. We'll add check marks to every item, and we add a button that will show or hide completed tasks. So that's it for now. I'll leave complete code below, and just feel free to check it out and let me know in comments if you want me to add some specific features to this app or you want clarification on something, and I will cover it in the following series. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.